Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Club quarantine in the building. Drama's out today. He's busy with some work stuff.
Corona.
Maybe he has corona.
Potentially.
Yeah. He's been a little odd with his mask everywhere he goes. So.
At least he was properly socially distancing himself when we saw him Sunday.
Yes, he definitely has corona.
Yep.
But before we kick off today's episode, when we were talking about advertising, we mentioned that I mentioned I'd be down to do gender reveals and announcements of engagements or divorce or sex change, whatever it is. And we've got our first gender reveal.
Exciting.
This one's exciting because, going through 2 gender reveals myself, it's a nerve-wracking experience.
Oh, yeah.
Because you just don't know, am I having a boy? Am I having a girl? Am I having twins? What's going on?
Are you ever upset when you found out the gender?
No. You're just so happy that you have a baby.
Okay.
Like, I don't think it matters.
Do you think that some people do get upset? That like wanted a boy, got a girl?
Definitely. I mean, maybe men are. I don't see women being upset. Like
I know people who've been upset.
You want to name names or do you want to leave that out?
People have strong opinions on this. Obviously, you want a healthy kid at the end of the day, but
Right.
at that point, everyone has a strong opinion.
So
Interesting.
So our first gender reveal is coming from Melbourne, Australia, from Aaron and James Tinsley, who are avid listeners, Kathy's, and they chose us.
Somehow.
Which is really, really crazy. I'm nervous right now. I'm like actually genuinely
When she
nervous.
sent it to me, I was like, oh, okay, this is the email and it's the whole thing.
So can you guys videotape what's going on right now? Because you're listening and you don't know the gender?
Yes, yeah.
We need a live video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think it is?
Send it to Pete on DM.
So we can post it.
Yeah.
And so they currently have a 16-month-old named Miles. And so they're ready to welcome their new child into this world. James.
So
Aaron's
James doesn't know.
James. No, I don't think.
No, neither know.
Neither know.
No,
they
because
just-
they just forwarded me.
They forwarded it. So honor code. They just forwarded it.
Oh,
From
wow.
the whatchamacallit.
From the doctor.
Yeah. And it
And-
just has an attachment and it says, attachment reads with capital letters of what the gender is, do not open.
Yeah, do not. And so here's exactly, if you've never been through a gender reveal, the way it works is the information is given to a friend or a doctor gives it to, like, in our case, doctor gave it to my wife in an envelope. My wife took the envelope to a bakery where they gave, they do the color of the cake, and then a friend picked up the cake.
Right.
Or a balloon. People have gotten pretty creative.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we did balloons.
Yeah.
We did cake the first time.
Yeah.
We did balloons this time.
How about those baseball ones where they lob
Yeah.
them and
Yeah.
the dads will just
Yeah.
completely whiff? And
Yeah.
It's just,
So this is in the current circumstance. This is proper social distance, and still have the excitement of a gender reveal. So Aaron and James,
Wait, should we
drum
do
roll,
it?
please.
What is it?
You are having a baby boy.
just what we need on this planet. More men.
Amazing! Congratulations, guys. I mean, I was pretty nervous just telling you guys because I know how exciting it is to find out the sex. Good luck.
Congrats on the sex.
Congrats on the sex, and congrats on your business. Looks like you have a business called Fit My Car in Australia and America. So we'll look out for that. And thank you for listening to the podcast. What our first gender reveal. And
great. Yeah.
for transparency purposes, we did not charge for this.
No, we just,
This one was on the house.
next one, you have another baby, we might be talking dollars.
So that's amazing. So one of the things I wanted to talk about today is I, for the most part, don't do grocery shopping for our household. My wife does it, and typically we've been doing it online. There's a huge delay on Instacart and Amazon right now, so I had to pick up some stuff yesterday from Bristol Farms and Rite Aid. It came very apparent to me what people don't like.
Because it's still there.
It's there. So I was looking for a certain Dasani water is like toilet paper water, apparently. I personally love Dasani.
I like it. It's a Coke.
Dasani's the worst water.
It's a Coke product.
There is
the worst water.
At Rite Aid, there is not one other brand available except Dasani.
I like Dasani.
Dasani tastes so gross.
Dasani's disgusting.
I can't stand Arrowhead.
Arrowhead is gross.
Arrowhead's clean.
Nah.
Dasani tastes like tap water. It is tap water.
Dasani tastes like gross tap water.
I don't mind.
I'm a Dasani guy.
Arrowhead and Evian to me are disgusting.
Evian is definitely an acquired taste.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you get rich.
And so I noticed that on the water, and then I head over to Bristol Farms, and so I'm going aisle by aisle. Like obviously anything that's like, I felt like the first wave of the grocery store kind of cleaning was toilet paper, soaps, canned goods, the bare essentials, bread. Now people have kind of stocked up on that stuff, especially canned goods. So you're starting to see what's next. So now alcohol is getting eaten up. You see chocolates and even ice cream. So I go to the ice cream section because I wanted to buy some ice cream. The flavors that are left over.
Oh my God.
Toasted fucking coconut everywhere. I saw so much coconut. People clearly hate coconut. It is on every little shelf I saw was coconut cookies sitting there.
So this is like great R&D for CPG brands. Just walk through a market and see what's left and stop making that stuff.
If your product, it's the same way I feel about cookies. Nobody likes those other cookies. You like chocolate chip and everything else should be canceled. It's disgusting. No one wants to eat a coconut oatmeal raisin cookie. It's disgusting.
I agree. And the other supermarket observation I have is we talk about flatten the curve on every aspect. I think we flatten the curve on the hoarders.
Yeah.
The lines are shorter.
Yes.
I think people have realized the food's not going to disappear. It's getting restocked every morning.
Yep.
So they don't feel the need to go buy 10 weeks of supply.
Yeah. I don't know. There's still lines outside on 3rd.
Well, so they do have lines at Trader Joe's and at Whole Foods, but the line is to limit the number of people in the store so that they're not on top of each other.
And socially distanced lines. They have markers. I don't know if you've seen that in the ground.
Yeah. So my guess is if you did month over month, the number of people at Whole Foods on 3rd and Fairfax, at any given time, it was probably more people in a month and a half ago because they didn't have social distancing rules, which is why the lines exist. But things at the Trader Joe's next to me, Amanda went yesterday and she said everything was stocked.
I went to
which wasn't the case a week ago.
Yeah, it's starting to stock. I went to Gelson's yesterday at Century City, which is like a more upscale market. I see this guy with his cart, in shape dude, probably in his 30s, like looks like he works out and stuff. Probably like 40 just pints of Ben & Jerry's. That's all he has in his cart. And I looked at him. I was like, dude, are you good? Yeah. And he was like, if I'm going down happy.
It's fine.
It's funny. I was buying I think I was buying bananas and avocado and some water. And the guy in front of me, him and his girlfriend, wife, whatever, they had like 2 big fifths of Tito's vodka, and that's it. They didn't have no fruits, no vegetables, no. I think we're at that next stage, and definitely the grocery stores are going to be stocked. The other thing that I don't think people are realizing if you're panicking on food is in 2 weeks, no one's going to have any money. So when most of the country is out of work, they're not going to be going grocery shopping, especially at Whole Foods or Gelson's or Bristol Farms, all the places that we like to go to, because those places are already expensive as is. And, I just don't, I think there's going to be a financial problem that won't allow people to buy groceries the way they were 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's going to be more of a basics and what's absolutely necessary, not the mango flavored vodka. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, or like, $9 chocolate covered pretzels from Bristol Farms, like I bought yesterday.
You bougie motherfucker.
Yeah, you're going down to salt pretzels.
No more avocados and oat milk. It's all gone.
Yeah, and it's being reasonable about like how people are going to consume, knowing that there's a potential of 1 in 5 Americans without a job. I don't think you're going to grocery shop like this. And I understand people go through food, but you're going to change your habits, or you're going to eat foods that are more inexpensive. You're going to go to frozen foods. I think fast food will continue to thrive in this environment because it is cheap. It is inexpensive. There are drive-throughs. So I think, the consumer behavior will change once these job losses actually get realized. So, I mean, that's part of what I've been thinking. So then I wanted to share a conversation I had with the company that handles HR for us. And so I asked a bunch of questions because I was like, okay, what does furlough look like? And so you can furlough employees up to 1 year.
That means no pay.
No pay, but benefits can continue to get paid.
Okay.
Furlough effectively means unpaid leave, and then when the company's ready, can put them back on payroll and go on from there. I think the challenge becomes is depending on what type. If you had the job longer than 30 days, and there's some other qualifications that you can then apply for unemployment, or if you have to watch a family member or a child because school's out or they're ill, there are different things you can go to the EDD and file for emergency unemployment, and you'll start getting paid next week. That's how quickly people are moving. So the furlough thing, as scary as it is, the government has set up ways to collect unemployment pretty quickly. Obviously, the process can't be easy. I'm sure unemployment lines are crazy. I'm sure there are online sites that you can do a lot of these things on. But, we went through SBA today.
Couldn't even get through an application.
Yes.
Spent 2 hours.
Yeah. So
Got timed out every single time.
So I think those are some of the interesting conversations. I asked a question in regards to warehouses that are open and people are concerned about getting corona. They don't have enough data to even know how to handle this. So essentially what the lady was like, we don't know, play it safe, treat your employees with all the necessary materials. If you can give them mask, hand sanitizer, gloves, do as much as you can. And if people are ill, tell them to go home and operate that way. Because, I got a DM from someone that works at UPS, and they're like, they don't give a fuck. There's no social distancing. We're working on top of each other. I don't know what UPS can do. Yeah. What can they actually enforce? They can't shut down their business, right?
Yeah.
It's essential that UPS functions for our society.
Yeah, it's just going to become who are the employees that just can't simply afford to not get that paycheck.
Yeah.
And they'll be the ones to show up. There's always going to be people that are showing up at these jobs, especially now when we get, we're only a week and a half into quarantine, and in 2-3 weeks when a lot of people have lost their jobs and now can't even provide for their family.
Yeah.
There's going to be enough people to fill these spots.
Yeah. And
so the sad reality is, like, if you're not comfortable, then you shouldn't work. But there's unfortunately going to be people that are going to say, fuck it, and just go do it.
Yeah, I think that those people will be your healthy, younger folks that cannot risk the not getting a paycheck. Those people are going to go. There's a list of major companies, everyone from like the FedEx, UPS, to Amazon, to Walmart's, to CVS. Unprecedented hiring.
Insane,
I've
yeah.
never seen anything like this. They're obviously not going to be the compensation that you got at your job. Like, I know a lot of, I got reached out by a friend that, they're friends with a lot of coaches and a lot of people that, rely on, families for income and stuff. And they're all like able-bodied, healthy, young guys that are like, we'll work in warehouses. Screw it. Like, we need money.
Yeah, of course.
And so I think that tide will turn probably in the next 2 weeks, because everyone wants to see what's going to happen. But pretty quickly, I think people are going to want to get back to work, regardless of what the government says, shut down or not. They'll go to the jobs that are still open. And grocery stores, pharmacies, delivery, warehouses are not shutting down. I don't believe we get to a point where we do like Armageddon shutdown and grocery stores and deliveries stop.
No, that won't happen. And like Instacart yesterday said they're hiring 300,000 gig economy workers to fulfill demand. Because everyone would prefer Instacart than go wait in line at Trader Joe's or Ralph's.
Yeah. And so I think that'll be there will be jobs. It's not going to be what everyone wants, but there will be opportunities. And I think there's going to be opportunities to scale in those industries. Like, those industries are going to explode. Like we were talking about it today with a friend. What is e-commerce? It's 10%.
Like 12% of the total revenue for all online sales.
No.
Sorry, for all retail.
All commerce.
All commerce.
Yeah.
12%.
Which is insane.
That's nothing.
That's nothing. So
it's higher in certain categories. Like, I think fashion's 20 to 25%.
But even then, who buys anything in stores anymore? Especially after this.
Well, the things that commerce also includes are like buying cars and ticket items that still are available online, but most people are still going to dealerships and buying cars and whatnot.
Yeah, and there's a lot of groceries and there's all these different elements. The point being is there's going to be this huge surge in e-commerce sales that we come out of this, where we're probably sitting at like 25% at the end of this, with obviously no.
And yeah, this is like for those types of companies, for all e-commerce only companies, it's the best customer acquisition you can ever have, because now this is like, how many people realize they can use Instacart rather than sitting at Ralph's on a Sunday?
Yeah.
Like that's going to be mind blowing, because doesn't even cost you anything.
Yeah. Once people realize
people realize like it's just a better experience. I don't have to leave my home, Corona or not. This is a better way to shop.
Yeah, exactly. And I think those are the interesting opportunities that are coming out of this, is that there are learnings by people that there are things you can do that's more efficient.
Yep.
Right. And I'm still not sold on remote working 100%, but there's a lot of other things. You know, I experienced Zoom the last 2 days very aggressively, like literally 10 times I used it for meetings and podcasts and whatever. And now it's like, it's an incredible product, and it proves that there's clearly opportunity to be more efficient in a lot of different categories.
Yeah.
Definitely. Anand, why are you against video on Zoom? You had a message yesterday.
Yeah,
you're anti-video.
I mean, for the purposes of what we were talking about, we had a group chat conference call. It's like, why do you need to look at me?
So I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
And I was walking home.
And I'll tell you why it makes sense is so I did a phone call yesterday with 10 people. It is so hard to control 10 people via phone, right? Because you just don't know when to interrupt or when you want to interject. It's so difficult. On Zoom, because you see everyone's face, you're like, hey, my turn to speak. And then all attention goes to that one person.
Your face gets all big on the thing.
Yeah, your face gets all big on the
You
thing.
get the
and it's all
centerpiece.
attention on you.
That's fair.
You get the conch.
It's exact. It mimics real life, where when a person is speaking in a real life meeting, that you focus an attention on that person. So I think it does serve a purpose to have video more so than audio in those types of purposes. And I think Zoom is doing a phenomenal job. And like, I think things like Instacart, I'm looking through a lot of experiences in my daily life that have been eliminated because I can't go there, and trying to understand like, where are the efficiencies? And I think clearly meetings there could be a huge opportunity for Zoom. There already is, but you know, other categories, I think we're going to find even more opportunity to get into. So we'll see. So let's get into some Corona numbers. So New York City is seeing an epic catastrophe. One of the comments Trump said today is, we might be open up by Easter. And that has obviously raised a lot of red flags, because what that means is he clearly is really concerned about the economy, and that keeping everything shut is going to crater everything that we have. And so what I think we really need to discuss is he wrong? 2, is quarantine the right form of action for every case? Because we have now a South Korea example of what they did. Can we get to South Korea?
So the biggest difference between what we've done and what South Korea did, so both countries actually had their first identified case on the same exact day, which was, I think, January 21st. What did South Korea do? They immediately aggressively started testing, quarantined immediately. And that is now, we're 2 months. That's 2 months ago.
Yeah.
We started a week ago.
Yeah.
So with as contagious of a disease as we have on our hands, that was the right way to do it. And now the question is, are the measures we're taking right now actually flattening the curve? We're not testing people that are healthy, which is actually a problem.
Yeah.
You have to test everyone.
Yeah.
And we're actively telling people not to be tested.
Yeah.
That's like, and just, if you understand anything about math, you need data in order to solve a problem.
Yeah.
And just testing selectively people that
have the worst
the worst symptoms. You're making it much harder to make the decision of when we should actually be entering back into society.
Yeah.
Because Easter's the right date, or is it June, or is it August? We're not going to have the data to make that decision because all we're doing is testing people that are showing up to hospitals. Now I guess we have some drive-through, but they're turning away people that are healthy.
Yeah.
Like we have a friend in one of our group chats, their parents went and they said, no, you can't get tested.
Yeah.
So if we're going to operate like that, we'll never know what the right date is.
Yeah. So
it's almost arbitrary at this point.
Yes. And so the interesting data that we do have is from China. And so someone put together this on a website called informationisbeautiful.net. And they, out of 44,000 confirmed cases in mainland China, this is as of March 16th, 80% had mild symptoms. So like flu, stay-at-home symptoms. 13.8% were severe, hospitalized. 4.7% critical intensive care. And then those age 60 plus, most at risk, and this is the percentage of confirmed cases who died in Italy and China. The highest percentage, obviously, is 80 plus. In Italy, it was 17%. In China, it was 14.8 point. In 70 to 79, it was 9.5 in Italy and 8 in China. And then it considerably drops off after age 60. So it's like, and it continues to be iterating on these same conditions. Cardiovascular disease being the number one ailment, diabetes, chronic respiratory disease, abnormally high blood pressure, and cancer. And then 0.9% of the people that died had no existing condition. So are we like, I don't think we're going to come Easter, everything's just going to open back up. But is there a world where we quarantine those that fall under this?
Yeah, it's a great. So, I mean, we touched on this a lot on the last podcast, and I think the conversations people are having privately, not publicly, because it's just too sensitive of a time.
Yeah.
Is at what point when the population is largely healthy, but their livelihood's disappearing, like when does that breaking point happen?
Yeah.
And I don't know the answer to that. And I think it's unfair to call those people insensitive also, because everyone's worried about their livelihood.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what I don't like is, you know, I get obviously a lot of shit because I've made it clear that I think we have to look out for the economy as well as people's health. It's a dual problem that needs to be addressed. And at the end of the day, I can't control medicine. I'm not a doctor. All I can control is how I react to the information. I'm doing my job. I'm staying quarantined. I'm not putting my staff at risk. Like, you know, I'm doing as much as I can.
Except for Pete.
Pete, yeah.
I'm out here fearing for my life.
Yeah. Well, you can go home then. Back to Milwaukee or Madison or wherever the hell you're from.
Fuck I'm from. Still doesn't know.
Chicago, something like that. Right?
And I think I think the challenge is that like we all can only control what we can control, and I have to trust medical professionals and government officials to tell us what to do, but I have to look out for my financial interests because it affects hundreds of people's lives if we make bad decisions.
Yeah, and it's if the government isn't going to pump 1.5 trillion a month to normal people like us,
Yeah.
then you can't expect them to make the economic sacrifices that we're all making right now. And you know, you'd like to think everyone's here for the greater good, but I mean, if you just the average person is looking out for themselves, and if their family's healthy, they don't understand like, hey, maybe if I'm the carrier and I'm spreading it and other people die, they don't think that big picture. So I get why we're doing these drastic measures right now, because we know people can't think like that. But how long are we going to expect people to act like this if we're not going to provide the economic relief?
Yeah, and I don't think it could be more than a couple. Like people are already losing their minds, locked inside. It can't be more than a couple more weeks till people say, you know what, I'm fine. I know Joey had corona, he's fine. Tim had corona, he's fine.
Yeah,
and we're fine. We're going back out.
Yeah, and that's the real problem is that like I think a vast majority of the population is going to think they've been exposed to it or know people that have gotten it and recovered from it, and they're going to be like,
it's not that bad. People had it. It was chill.
Yeah, and the issue is, I think, why medical professionals are so terrified of this is because we already know the hospital system in the country was barely sufficient for par. right now we're adding, X hundred thousands of people that are going to need care, and you collapse at that point. And that's why the medical field, if you talk to any doctor, they're absolutely terrified, because if the cases do keep skyrocketing, and if people are actually, even though it doesn't affect 99% of the population, the hundreds of thousands of people that will actually get infected, hospitals are going to then end up having to choose, do I treat someone who came in with a mild heart attack or a corona patient or a kidney replacement or a lung replacement? And then you're making hospitals play God, which is what doctors are terrified about.
Okay, so I agree with that. So if we take these numbers and we take worst case scenario, 50% of the population gets infected, okay? Of that, how many people in that are going to be deemed critical? And assuming that there's going to be clearly shortage of beds and resources, right? If people that are healthy are allowed to re-enter normal society, and then we take all the people that are deemed to fall into this bucket, and they are strictly quarantined for, call it the next 3 more months, and then hopefully there's some medication. There's not going to be a vaccine, but we have heard in readings that there are cocktails of drugs that are working to help people recover faster. Because we don't know if they're scalable.
There's definitely been anecdotal evidence from doctors around saying that certain things work, certain things didn't.
Yeah.
And who knows if they work at scale or not. These are one-off patients. But when we talk about the failure of our government dealing with this, let alone not treating this as a real issue. Second, if we started building hospital capacity 2 months ago,
we would be fine.
You knew this was happening, then medical professionals wouldn't be as scared of like what is impending, right?
Yeah.
So like New York's already at capacity, and they think it's going to get 2 to 3 weeks from now when it's going to get its worst.
Yeah.
And you have Governor Cuomo in New York asking for ventilators, and the federal government didn't deliver.
Yeah.
He's pissed. People are dying in his state.
Yeah.
I get all the arguments. Unfortunately, everyone's right.
Yeah.
The medical community's right.
Yeah.
The economic community's right.
Yeah.
And
I'll tell you who's not right. Trump went out and said, you should try this malaria drug. It's showing great promise. It's working really well. It's called, I don't know how to pronounce it, chloroquine, I think.
yeah, we've mentioned this on the pod.
Yeah, and there's an article of my husband and I tried to take Trump's miracle cure, and now he's dead.
So what do they do? They sue Trump now? What do they do?
I mean, I cannot believe that people are just taking medication without any sense of reference point from a medical profession. And because the president, this is why when people don't understand like why people give Donald Trump such a hard time for being a poor leader. This is a great example. You went on television and you said something is potentially working. You're old, you're scared, you don't know what to do. You probably can't see your doctor. And what do? You go get this medication, this malaria drug, and you're dead.
Absolutely. And when he said this in the press conference, I think a few days ago, Fauci, Harry, that's his name. He literally debunked what Trump said right after the press conference and saying, no, this is not a treatment that we're fast green lighting or whatever. But yeah, I mean, you have to be responsible with what you say, and that's the problem. He doesn't get any blame for it either. His fans don't care.
He doesn't take any responsibility either.
Yeah.
He said that.
He's saying Easter as the time to kind of start, and like he has no data to say that.
It's never been sure from what he said during the campaign. I could walk down Fifth Avenue and shoot people and kill people, and I will still be as popular.
Yes.
Because he's doing that right now.
He just killed someone.
Yeah, he literally killed someone. Like, I can't even imagine how many people who are scared took this stupid drug.
A lot.
Yeah.
Because most people don't have access to medical care right now because the hospitals are full.
Yeah. I mean, it's just scary to take this man at his word. And, one day, last week he was like, I don't know if it's June, July, August. And now he's like, Easter, we're open.
Yeah, because one thing he cares about is the stock market and the economy more than anything.
Yeah.
And his rich buddies who own all the companies aren't happy with what's going on. So he wants to fast pace and get people back to work. And what that looks like in Easter,
I mean, I just have a feeling that's what he's going to do. I don't think he can tolerate 25% unemployment rate.
Is that an ego thing or is that a re-election thing? Or do you
Both.
think
All of it. All of the above.
All of the above. Because here's the thing. At the odd chance, let's say he reopens it in Easter, okay? People die. If that number is less than the number of people that died from the swine flu, which is a staggering number, by the way, if you just look that up. It's like hundreds of thousands of people.
Okay.
And as a percentage, which is insane.
Yes. And so if it's lower than that, he looks really good.
Yeah. And if the stock market stays up,
If stock market stays up, unemployment's not as bad.
Yeah, and well, you know how he's going to spin it. If people die, he'll blame you. So
Yeah.
you didn't take the precaution. You knew you were highly, highly susceptible. That's your fault.
Yeah.
That's how Trump operates.
And then other people who are ill, who have that same disease, you're like, you know what? Bill is an idiot. He should have stayed home.
Yeah.
That's why he's dead.
so what's the way this doesn't work out well for him?
If
It's
Knowing he could spin pretty much anything, what could he not spin?
what
I don't
what
think you can
wouldn't
spin
be
the
able to
economy.
work is if he opens everything back up and
the economy still craters.
still creators, people don't show up
Yep.
to work, don't show up to restaurants, don't show up to stores, then you can't. The data is going to be the data. He wants to operate like China, but he can't just like lie about
And
companies'
hide data,
earnings,
yeah.
right? And if mall traffic is still way off in 3 months and 2 months, and people aren't shopping, people aren't consuming, then he can't spin it.
Yeah.
And you think that hurts his chance of re-election? What percent chance he gets re-elected right now?
Honestly, for me, I would say it's like a 30% chance he gets reelected.
Really?
Yes. I think it's really, really low. I know his approval rating is freaking really high right now.
Yeah.
I just, come October, November, we'll see the pain in the economy,
For sure,
the
yeah.
real pain. And when you're about to go vote and you don't have a job or your life just got upended, I don't care if you're Republican or a Democrat, if your life got upended, you want a change.
Yeah.
Same reason why Obama came in and so many Republicans voted for him, because they were just sick of what was going on.
And if you think about the states that are most affected, they're red states. Like Florida is going to have a staggering number. It's an older population. The beaches are still open.
Yep.
Louisiana,
Spring breakers.
for the number of people Louisiana has, the number of cases is staggering.
Where it's an unhealthy population.
But in California, while sure New York is unique, at least California took the measures like right away. Like San Francisco apparently is already flattening the curve because they had the stricter lockdown than we did down here. Washington was early.
Yeah.
Those are liberal states.
Yeah.
So if you think about the 3 states that are taking this the most seriously are New York, California, Washington. The red states that aren't, we're going to see a trickle effect. And if those people start dying, if his electorate starts dying, you can't hide it.
Yeah. There's nothing you can do at that point.
Yeah. So on, you agree with 30% re-election?
Yeah, I think what Biden's doing is actually smart.
Just shutting up?
Yes. Just let this guy walk off a cliff.
Well, that's what everyone's been saying recently. Like, where is Joe Biden? So he's saying,
Taking
I've
a
been
nap.
trying to figure out.
Sleeping.
Yeah, he's definitely sleeping. He's been at home. He's been trying to figure out. Apparently, it's taken him 4 days to figure out how to broadcast. I mean, go on Zoom, homie. Like, it's so easy. And so he's saying he's having a lot of phone calls, talking to his advisors. And I think Anand said in one of our group chats, he's just like, what can Joe Biden, he can't do anything. He has no power, right? So anything he can say probably doesn't really help because he can't actually impact any change when you're running for president. You're not
Yep.
president. All you can say is, if I was president, I would be doing this. So I think the fact that,
The problem is you actually don't know what the right answer is to please. So don't say what you would do.
yeah.
Wait till it's over, then
wait
say
till-
what you would have done.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy might sleep his way into the presidency.
That's crazy.
Like
He
on
has a lot
election.
of energy. He's not campaigning.
No.
No
And he-
travel.
resting.
Yeah.
He's like LeBron before the playoffs.
Yeah, you just, like take the month off. And reality is when is there going to be a campaign rally? Freaking never.
So conventions have to be off, right?
There's no way they're gonna. No, conventions, 20,000 people on top of each other screaming, USA! No chance.
I feel like Trump will still go forward with his. I think Democratic, that's Milwaukee, that's off.
Yeah.
I think it's the
Carolinas?
one of the. I think North Carolina.
Yeah.
I think he keeps it. I mean, if he's opening the economy in Easter,
Yeah.
convention's in July, I think.
Yeah.
He'll be there saying, we're so strong, we're the
Yeah.
first people back.
But yeah, I think that'll be interesting to see like how the election now plays out because Sleepy Joe is just
Sleeping.
sleeping. He's not saying a word. Bernie's still kind of talking, but like because there's no rallies, they're not getting the attention on television anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
We have instead the death tracker that just the number just keeps going up. That's the only thing we're seeing on TV.
And Trump's getting all the attention, which he's great at. Like, I was talking to some friends who are all in their 20s, and they're like, this is the first time I've ever watched a president, ever watched any of these press conferences. We're so much more informed now because he's so entertaining.
Yeah.
You just want to, it's like, you want to see what he says.
and
And
like,
there's no sports, there's nothing on.
Yeah.
So the only thing that's entertainment other than Netflix is Trump's press
It's the only
conference.
live thing to watch right now. And
Yeah.
it's so good.
And the doctor, I believe her name is Bricks, right?
Yeah.
She was doing a press conference and she said, "Oh, on Saturday, I had a light fever." And Trump goes, "Whoa!" And he just walked away. And he laughed. He laughed and walked away.
He also mocked Mitt Romney for having
Oh, that was so good.
isolation. He goes, Mitt's isolated? Oh,
The-
gee, too
The
bad.
reporter's like, are you being sarcastic? He's like, no, not at all. Not sarcastic at all. And then when a reporter asks him about questions he doesn't like, he's just like, that's a nasty question. I'm not answering that.
Yeah, and so it's like he's manipulating the information. I think Joe Biden is playing it right. Sit, shut up, and cruise into like
Shut up and sleep.
Yeah, shut up and sleep. Literally, that should be his campaign. And then in July, hopefully the world's in a different place. Then go back out campaign and figure out how to do it. But I'm curious to see what does an election look like in a digital age where you may not be able to do live debates and town halls and shake people's hands because presidents win by connecting with the people.
Kissing babies.
Yeah, and I don't know how Joe Biden does that in this scenario.
And is Bernie 100% out, or is there still like a dark horse chance?
Yeah, I mean,
There's always he should be out, but he's just not gonna.
he's not walking away
He's not
quietly.
walking away.
Yeah.
And he has no reason to. The other thing, speaking of politics, the big news that everyone's waiting for, that we still haven't got today, as in Tuesday afternoon, is the stimulus package. So there's a huge fight brewing between Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi and Republican leader Mitch McConnell about what to have in this bill. The first proposal of the bill, with trillions of dollars, was rejected by the House Democrats because there was $500 billion that Secretary Mnuchin gets to allocate at his discretion.
So basically, Trump cronies get bailed out.
Yes. Imagine having $500 billion and being able to give it to anybody. Think about how you set up your rest of your life, your kids' life, their kids' life. Oh, you gave Boeing $10 billion. You gave Goldman Sachs $5 billion. And this happened in the financial crisis where money was just doled out and the individuals, regular Americans, got screwed. So the Democrats are saying, okay, you want to have this slush fund? Then you're going to have a lot of restrictions on how that money is given out. The other thing is they're also concerned about all the other corporate kind of rules that have been given to companies in the past during previous financial crises, where companies just make out like bandits and they get bailed out all the time because they are too big to fail. And then the lowly worker gets screwed. And that's what the Democrats are fighting for. And so everything from the $1,200 a month to small business administration loans, the funny thing that everyone's talking about is they snuck in like $35 million for like the Kennedy Center for the arts. And someone was like, you agree with this? Who's not rooting for the Democrats. I was like, you know what that is? That is what you call a fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm in power. You don't have it. And you're going to give me $35 million for the arts. You wanted $500 billion to just piss away for your homies. I'm going to give $35 million to the arts.
Yeah, because, I mean, if you just want to think about it objectively, because I think both parties are stupid right at this point, but anytime Republicans stifle government, they're looked at as tough. And anytime Democrats stifle the government, they're looked at as unpatriotic.
Yeah.
So that's the spin. And if Democrats want to, it's still politics at the end of the day. Like, the market rallied today because of the stimulus package, nothing else. So if they're sneaking in things, Republicans, you got what you wanted. The market rallied.
Yeah.
You got the highest single percentage gain in like 100 years.
Since 1933.
Yeah.
So, Republicans, stop crying. This is what you guys do all the time, and you got a market rally because everyone knows the package is coming.
Yeah, and look, there's all these little nuances to it, but Democrats want to give up to $130 billion for hospitals. Republicans said they've agreed to $75 billion. This is the one area we should be giving all the money to.
Right.
But instead, you want $500 billion for corporate bailouts. You got to do the math here, people. Like, it's a joke. They don't care about your health. They want to open the economy up. They will let all you rot and die while they hang out in freaking Nantucket.
Yeah, like
bail
Blackstone
out
will
their
be fine.
homies.
Yeah,
Yes.
Blackstone's all their real estate holdings that are probably getting crushed right now are going to get bailed out.
Yeah, they'll get bailed out. And that's why, like,
That's why Steve Schwartzman, the head of Blackstone, goes and sits in Trump's office.
yeah, to make sure he gets that bailout when the shit hits the fan. And so if you don't like how Nancy Pelosi is handling herself, if it's sad to say, if she was a male and she was Republican, she'd look like a hero.
Yeah, everyone says, look at how tough she is. She's protecting our values, our progressive values.
She's a powerful woman. She's called a bitch.
Yep.
And it's kind of a joke. It's not apples to apples. And if she wants to sneak in these little things, I'm for it. Just as a fuck you.
I have no problem because Mitch McConnell, who claims to be a patriot all of a sudden, is the same guy in 2008 said my entire existence is going to be around blocking anything President Obama wants to do and getting him out of office.
Yeah.
That's your patriot.
Yeah.
So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when with the stimulus bill. It's going to happen for sure.
Yeah,
correct?
it's happening for sure.
Yeah.
The market priced it in today.
Market price it, and then if it goes up or under, depending on what is, that's going to affect the market again when it's announced.
Yeah. I mean, I think part of the issue with the stimulus package that can make the market go up even more is if the dollar amount to the American people and how long is bigger than we expect.
That's like the freedom dividend, the Andrew Yang thing.
Yeah.
And that's for sure happening, we think. Like
100%.
Yeah, that's happening.
But it's going to be based on some income threshold.
Yep.
In its current state. And if you have kids, you get this, and
Yep.
based on that. Then there's all these other stimulus for like commercial lending and small businesses, and then rents, and there's all these little layers because it's $2 trillion that they're printing out of nowhere. So they have to allocate it somewhat efficiently as best they can. So those are the reasons why it could go up. It could go down because we might find out, and I did read this, I think I mentioned it. IRS says, I don't know how we get these checks out in a few weeks. IRS said it could take a few months.
Which is insane because they have all of our social security numbers and all of our addresses.
Yeah.
Get us the money. ACH it. You have
Venmo.
Yeah.
I mean, that. So if they go, yes, you're getting your 1,200, but it's coming in July.
That does nothing.
That causes a huge problem.
Yeah.
At what point and it may happen April 1, do you just go to your landlord and say, I'm not paying rent? Not as a company, as a resident.
So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we're hearing from people in buildings around LA. They're like, we expect you to pay rent April 1st.
Yeah, we got that notice.
And so they're already putting pressure on tenants that you have to pay. We even had a conversation with our real estate broker on all our business rents, and they're like, landlords aren't playing ball. I'm like,
Of course they'll say that.
Yeah,
Of course they say that. Yeah, that's their job. Guess what? Are you gonna evict us right now? Can
I don't think you can even legally evict. And
I don't
who's going to
think-
come evict you? Who are they going to send? The UPS worker?
who are you going to send? Who's going to take our place? How much money are you going to spend?
and
trying
how
to
are you
evict
gonna
them?
release it?
Yeah.
Who's in the
Nobody's
market
releasing.
for
Yeah.
leasing?
I'm
office
looking
space?
for 100,000 square feet of warehouse and office. Anyone interested?
Yeah, no chance. I think the renters have a lot more leverage than they think because if all renters are like, we're not paying, they're not going to go after everyone.
And
Yeah,
the city
and
of LA is going out there and saying, we will not evict people.
Yeah, Governor Newsom and Mayor Garcetti both said, well, let's remove the anxiety. Don't worry about eviction right now.
So what are these companies? So
Yeah. Should I not pay rent and see what happens this month?
No, but here's the
I'll
thing.
do it. Watch me.
Do you know who suffers? And I actually have this experience firsthand from my own apartment building. My apartment building has a decent percentage of people that are older. And landlords who are pretty predatory or who can be pretty predatory prey on old people and people that are just uninformed. So my personal example is there was a leak in my building from 2 floors above me. Had nothing to do with my apartment, but it inflicted damage on my unit. My landlord sent me a letter saying I owe $5,000. And I was like, for what? Like, that's not my leak. I had nothing to do with this. This is your building. Your shoddy construction is why it leaked to me. Guess what happens to the average
They
old
say,
person?
oh, I have to pay it. It's
I
real.
don't want to get evicted.
Yeah.
Where would I go? Where would I do? What did
no
I
one-
do?
yeah.
I had a friend who's a lawyer write a very stern letter saying, this isn't going to happen. And he backed off immediately and lied about what he asked for. And it got solved.
Yeah.
But old people and uninformed people that are just like, I don't want to get kicked out. Where am I going to go?
I think any invoice they have to pay it and think they're getting evicted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like the IRS scams on phones, which is why they worked. Old people get so scared, like, oh my God, if I don't pay this, I'm going to jail. Like, no one's questioning it.
My grandma a couple years ago wired like $2,500 to Africa to bail me out of a Guatemalan jail. When I was supposed to meet my grandpa that day. I was going to the movies with my grandpa. I was with him, and she calls me frantic. She's like, I thought I'd call you. Is this you? And I'm like, yeah. She goes, you're not in jail in Guatemala? I was like, no, I'm at the movies with Papa, your husband. She goes, oh, shit. We just got scammed. We had to go. I went with my dad back to the Western Union that she sent it from. Luckily, they held it for an extra day because they know like when old people do that, they just don't send it right. They asked her. They're like,
what is this senile clause?
Yeah, they asked. They're like, they asked my grandma like, what are you sending money for? And then she was like, to get my son out of jail in Guatemala or wherever. And they just knew to held it. We went back and luckily they held it.
Yeah.
They said it happens all the time.
So the advice to anyone listening, if you have grandparents or anyone that are in these situations, do not be scared of your landlord.
Yeah.
You're not getting evicted. I'm not telling you not to pay your rent. Go get an arrangement. Be transparent. If you have lost your job or you know someone's lost their job, be transparent with your landlord. If you can't afford it, be upfront, because California's made it clear they're not evicting people.
And then what's worst case? You get evicted, then it hurts your credit score. Like, how can they actually hurt you? Credit score?
Credit score. Yeah.
Credit score. Yep.
And they're going to come after back rent. Like, I don't know how they're going to handle this situation.
Yeah. Like,
there's no
going to be late fees. Like, I know at like a place like Plaza, they just tack on the late fees.
They screw you every left and right.
Yeah.
Security deposit, you're not getting that back. Everything.
Yeah. And so I think, I just don't think the landlords are going to have a lot of legs to stand if people who lost their job, it depends. And they're going to go out and tell everyone, screw you, we're not going to do it, because they can't obviously open the floodgates because everyone will take advantage.
Yeah.
Right.
And we also know just in business, which is something I've learned, I was so naive in business before, like how much power and leverage money has. So like even if you have a contract, you tell someone to pay you, they say, fuck you. And you say, oh shit, maybe I'm not going to get paid. Yeah. I used to think that no matter what, it's a contract, it's getting paid. Like enforcing contracts and actually getting paid for things doesn't happen.
No. Yeah.
Whoever has the money has the leverage. And until you give the money over, you have all the leverage and power.
Yep. And especially in this situation where like everyone's going through the crisis, it's not like a unique situation where like only certain people are feeling the pinch. It's like everyone's going through it.
Yep.
We're having the conversations, small businesses, big businesses, individuals, rich people, everyone's trying to figure this out together. Yep. So I don't think we should be all kind of be patient and figure out how to really sort through this whole thing.
So if you haven't paid your rent yet, don't pay it.
If you can't afford it, you're not getting evicted.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, I'm paying my rent.
I'm paying my rent.
I'm going to see what I can do for the sport.
Yeah. If it's just for sport reasons, that's fine. That's super interesting. But yeah, I mean, we're all going to wait on the stimulus bill. It should hit hopefully by the time this podcast comes out. We'll have an answer on it. And then that'll really determine the stock market. So I was thinking about in this era, you know how in World War II, we've seen endless amount of movies, books, documentaries, because it was kind of like the most insane kind of set of actions that happened. Everything would happen in Europe to Pearl Harbor to just the whole world. There's so many crazy stories that got retold for the last 30, 40 years. I think this is like that moment where like there is a story. There's 50 stories in Italy. There's like 50 stories in China. There's all the stories of happening in America. There's the financial angle of it. There's the health angle. There's the doctors who are suffering. Like this is probably like an era that we're going to be defined by like an enormous amount of storytelling. But I was thinking like, what is the item that defined this era? And it's going to be the N95 mask.
Yeah.
Like it is the most, it has become the most valuable item on earth. I got email and phone call from someone that we're very close with that is a very powerful person asking for enormous quantity of masks, of N95 directly from 3M. The fact that he can't get it is insane to me. And I spoke to someone that actually works there and saying that like, it's just getting eaten up by people. And we're hearing from like the dark web of people, like governments are buying masks up all over the country.
From
like,
our sketchy friends.
yes. It's like this mask has become, and what I don't understand is, I understand everyone wants N95 by 3M. Why can't someone just copy that freaking mask and start mass producing it
It's the same reason you want Nikes and not a Payless running shoe.
I mean, if it solves the problem, it's a generic it's like generic medication. I take generic medication. I don't need brand name.
It's a pretty poor move of you, man. I go Advil.
You know what's
Get
funny
that
is
ibuprofen shit out of here.
I went to for my heartburn, I went to go get Tums, and I never pay attention to like brands or price, and I just pick up whatever I go. And I saw the generic at Rite Aid was like $4.69. The Tums was like $6.99. I'm like, you know what? I'm taking the generic here. I'm not paying $2 just to have your name on my.
And was your stomach still hurting after?
No, but seriously, like, I don't understand this mass dilemma. Like, I'm sure a doctor, if they said, hey, does it meet all these qualifications? I'm happy to take this mask.
I think
If can't
doctors
get-
effectively are taking anything because everything we're hearing is they're running out of masks because you're technically supposed to use a new mask for each patient.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And which is why they've all run out of masks.
We know how many masks then we need?
We got to figure out how to reuse the mask.
They're telling them how to reuse them. They're telling them to use handkerchiefs, cover your mouth. Like, it's a disaster at the hospital level.
Yeah.
How long till masks are a cool/funny Halloween costume?
This
Halloween.
Halloween. We have no.
I'm gonna be a coronavirus survivor.
I mean, I just don't know. I think the mask is probably the most interesting thing that's come out of this whole thing.
Yep. And you talk about defining our time. Do you think it's more defining than 9/11 already?
Yeah,
Like
because
a bigger moment?
well, I'll tell you the difference between 9/11 is we all watched it on TV, right? Except for the people that lived in New York or were in DC or the people in Pennsylvania in those, right? We all only experienced it on television.
Yep.
And so it impacted our life, and emotionally it was probably more draining than this. But every single person on earth is affected by coronavirus.
Yeah.
So I'll
Because
tell you from an emotional standpoint, I think 9/11
will always be.
will be bigger because you can identify it as a single threat. This person did this. We saw the exact destruction. Unfortunately, with Corona, 98% of the population isn't experiencing it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know anyone. And what I'm sensing just from our own circles is a sense of frustration rather than like, let's go beat this.
Yeah.
After 9/11, everyone came together.
Yeah,
and
like
said,
bomb them.
Yeah.
and like now people are just pissed and they're just
Yeah.
like, why am I home? Why am I going bankrupt? Why don't I have a job? Why
But
don't I-
to his point, I think it's a more transformational moment. The coronavirus impact on
Sure, yeah,
society.
yeah, of course, because it's affecting every country in the world. I mean,
Yeah.
India's on lockdowns. 1.3 billion people aren't allowed to leave their homes.
Good luck with that. You think people in America don't follow the rules? No one is following the rules.
Yeah, so you basically have 7 billion people on some extent of a lockdown.
That's
Are
what I'm
there
saying.
any countries that are just completely safe and just out of it?
Africa, aren't they? I think they have really, really low rates.
No,
right?
they're not testing there.
Yeah, they're probably just not testing.
I don't believe I've seen those numbers. It's the same with India. India didn't take it seriously till like 3
claim-
days ago.
So, India claims 500 infected.
500 out of a billion other people?
India is gonna be the worst. It's going to impact India the absolute worst.
We said this 3 weeks ago when China and Singapore, Korea, Japan were all panicked over Corona.
India's
India was
chilling.
just like,
Yeah.
you know how many flights there are a day from China to India
Yeah.
before they obviously shut down the airport?
Yeah.
Like India's rampant with cases. They're just not testing.
Yeah.
So if we have any ads, we'll stick them in here. But if we don't, check out Think Jinx and use the code group chat for
Jinx is
25%.
getting a lot of bang for their buck.
Good. Keep it going.
ThinkJinx.com.
Get that case study.
Yeah. Here's an interesting. I wonder what people are thinking, but Greta Thunberg has announced that she had corona and she's now recovered.
A lot of questions here.
A lot of questions here. She said she started to feel symptoms of fatigue, shivers, sore throat, and cough when she returned to Sweden from a trip around Central Europe 2 weeks ago. Her father, who also traveled with her, had similar symptoms, but more intense. I have therefore not been tested for COVID-19, but it's extremely likely that I've had it given the combined systems and circumstances. So, what do you think, Greta?
I think this is a cry for attention.
Yeah.
Oh my
Everyone
God.
stop talking
Yep.
about climate change, and she wants to be a corona influencer.
Well, climate
Why does she have to be insulted for everything she does? All she wants to do is make the earth better, be nice.
She's enemy number one.
For what?
Everyone,
She's worse than Kim Kardashian.
all the data is it's like really hard for people of her age specifically to contract it.
Yeah.
So
She had the flu.
Yes, I heard it was mild flu symptoms.
Yeah.
a lot of 17-year-olds have mild flu that's not COVID-19.
But she's not the one announcing it from rooftops. This is the media.
Well, she's telling. She knows whatever she says is going
She's
to go
posting
viral.
it. She's posting it.
She did. She could have just kept quiet about it, sat in a room, not told anybody,
I just
truly
feel
isolated.
like Greta can't catch a break. And
No.
I know I wrote
No.
a newsletter about it, and so many people hate Greta.
Yeah,
And
a lot of
I've
people
never
hate
had
her.
that many negative responses to a newsletter. And I talked a lot of shit about a lot of things.
I got a lot of text messages today just dissing her after it came out that she said she had it.
What is she, like 15?
17.
She's like 15 and she's like, just recycle things and be good and be nice to the earth. And everyone's like, get the fuck out of here. This little whiny girl. Like,
Okay, well, I'm
Leave it up for debate.
I'm hoping for a speedy recovery for her, and she's healthy, and her father. But what about the most, probably the most important thing I've read in the last week? Kim Kardashian West and Taylor Swift are back at it again.
Yes.
And Pete brought it up to me, and then I saw Kim Kardashian post, Taylor, during this time of Corona, is still talking about our beef. She lied. She's a liar, blah, 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 blah. But I saw Kim Kardashian is over party trending on Twitter yesterday. So I asked Pete to look into it.
What's over party?
like she's over.
Oh, just over party. Got it. Sorry.
The pizza idiot segment didn't
Yeah,
start
yeah,
yet.
Oh,
You're
right. I started early this week.
You're just a dumb person. That's
No.
all it is.
So you want a full explanation on what happened?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what? So Taylor posted something or talked about something.
So she didn't specifically release, but a video got leaked of the full 20-minute conversation. Originally, Kim had only posted a few snippets that were supposedly edited, but it made it show like they had had a conversation about the lyric on, I think it was Famous was the song,
Yeah.
where he said, I made that bitch famous. But then it was about the issue of the word bitch. That wasn't used. It was something about having sex.
Yeah.
And then he like later changed it, never talked to the publicist about it, and then made all these claims, and then this video pretty much showed it.
So what Taylor is saying is that she
was right.
was right.
Yes.
And that she never okayed that song lyric.
Right.
And to be mentioned like that.
Right.
And that
She had cautioned them to say that I don't believe it's a good idea to put out that misogynistic line like that or something.
And then
of those
the
lines.
edited, the version of the call that we all heard is her saying okay, but that's just an abridged version. And
Yes.
they just use the narrative they want to use.
And Kim was like, no, I just like posted like snippets from it or whatever. And they're like, that's editing it. That's
And the interesting thing is Kim went and blasted Taylor that for bringing this up at a time like this, but she didn't bring it up, right? It got leaked from
Yes.
some other source.
Correct.
And then instead of Kim just leaving it, she addressed it.
But actually, and then Taylor actually addressed it, but then addressed it to a swipe up link that led to the World Health Organization website that you can donate
Yes.
for this time. So she's like, wow, this is unimportant that this got leaked. Here's a swipe up to the World Health Organization, but then threw shots at her in that same story.
But that was Taylor.
That was Taylor that did that. And then Kim came back with this, you have to bring this up during this time when so many people are suffering. But
So-
it's like,
And we're hating on Greta for getting corona. I'm just saying. And Greta's the bad person in all of
Greta
this.
just needs to stay
Crying
out of
for
this.
attention because she has corona.
there it is.
I mean, the Kardashian Jenner family probably are just stewing at home that for the first time in God
They're
knows how
irrelevant.
long they are not being talked about.
Oh,
No one
yeah.
cares about them. No one cares about their posting. No one cares.
No one gives a shit.
Yeah.
Yes. They're completely irrelevant right now.
Yeah, they
Unless
are
they
not.
get corona. They have to get corona.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what Greta realized.
Yeah.
Backfire.
but that little feud, if you've been following it for the last 10 years now, I think it is important because like if you're a fan of like all these people, they all kind of played themselves. They're idiots.
I kind of like that we realized the Kardashian Jenner empire is not pandemic proof.
Yeah.
Everything else proof.
Yeah,
But a pandemic can make them irrelevant real quick.
I would love to know. Yeezy is dropping shoes like every 3 days.
Yeah, I'm
Like
seeing that.
I get an email every 2 days. The new Yeezy. I'm curious. Are those? I mean, I haven't checked if they're selling out, if they're holding the inventory, what's going on. But they are just dropping shoes left and right. It's crazy. I'm curious.
I have a lot of inventory.
So it takes me to. We're talking about celebrities and wanted to talk about fashion influencers. Do we think it's appropriate for? Let's say you have 6-pack abs. You're a fitness guy. Okay.
Like Alex Valley.
Or
Okay,
Taylor,
sure.
or Taylor Offer.
Yeah, or Taylor, or like your Steve Cooks of the world. These
Sure.
huge male fitness. I'm using male because we all know who they are. Is it okay to be posting like normal?
What do you mean? Like working out?
Let's say you're a fitness influencer and you're just posting fitness content and you're continuing to move on with the way you would post. Is that okay?
Why would it
think
not
so.
be okay?
Why would it not be?
I'm just
Especially
saying, like,
they're
is
doing
it-
at-home workouts for people. They're encouraging people to be
They're
fit.
just adjusting their content. Though.
Okay, so let's take a fashion influencer.
Okay.
Okay, it's about your outfits. It's about if you're showing off what you're wearing and what you're doing. Is that okay right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I think it's
so.
It's
entertainment.
about what you're
People
going to wear to
need
the
entertainment.
living room this afternoon,
And it's
then what
also
you're going
just
to wear.
another form of entertainment.
I agree, but I see people getting backlash. Like if you're a hot bikini girl,
Yep.
you should be posting your pictures.
Yeah, leave them alone.
People need that, especially in this time.
You
When
need
Pete's
to
jerking off
strategize.
6 times a day. You need new stuff to jerk
The
off.
Pornhub Premium is not working for me anymore. I'm going to different sources.
But I mean, it's the same people that would complain about anything.
Yeah,
But people complaining about an influencer posting, like,
Yeah.
shut up.
We need all the content we can get right now.
Yeah.
In any way, shape, or form.
Except for going live and doing fucking push-ups.
Yeah, no
Stop
more-
it right now.
I was early
Push-ups
on the
are
push-up
canceled.
trend. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
you
I
were. I
started
think you
it.
did.
Yes.
I did definitely start the entire
That's okay.
push-up
That's a
trend.
challenge. But these send 10, do 10. What is that doing for us?
I got someone sent me 10 shots.
That's a fun. That's a more fun game.
Right
That's
now.
insane. The push-ups, those things got to go.
Yeah, those will end. I don't mind IG Live. I think it's still like
It's entertainment. We
Yeah.
need it. Like you can only watch so many Netflix shows.
yeah, I agree. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page here. I want to quickly go through some business news that kind of been hitting the headlines. First one is hotel industry feels occupancy is 80 to 90% down.
Shouldn't it be like
Yeah,
99?
that seems. Yeah, who's still staying in hotels?
It's interesting. Nike came out with earnings today. They said in China, their sales are their growth is only down 5%.
From what month?
But this last quarter, China was January, February, right? Like it's not including March, but January and February, they're saying 5%. The stock's up in after hours.
Yeah.
That means like a company like Nike was not really impacted in China as we thought, or they're lying.
They're lying. The country was shut down.
Yeah, I mean, or people were just buying online and they're just like, we know our country's going to be fine. We're going to keep spending.
I don't know. We had a long discussion. I just don't know what data to trust anymore.
At all, yeah.
Because if you just think of things like logically, none of it makes sense.
Okay, so then here's an example. WeWork is offering $100 a day to come in during coronavirus lockdowns.
Wait, they pay you to go there?
Yes.
And get Corona?
a bonus. $500 per week.
Is that off of your WeWork subscription, or is that just anyone?
So they're going.
No, this is
anti-
WeWork employees.
Oh, got it.
Oh, where's your bonus like that? I'd be a rich man.
Pete, go back to your Instagram. bikini
Go back to your guy OG Mud.
So
Bone.
WeWork's giving their employees a $100 bonus if they just show up in the office.
Yeah.
Because they realize remote, they do better than remote work.
I'm assuming they need people to kind of serve some of their stuff because they probably have like community leads at their WeWork offices. They're like local people. So those people probably they need to have.
But aren't they all shut down, all the WeWorks, or not every?
Maybe
not
they're
every-
not.
No, they're still open. WeWork was done before this all happened. Like, this is just, I don't even know why
Well,
they're
if
even
you
trying.
offer $100 per day, maybe people will come back.
I think it's part of their plan to just burn some more money, and this is their last burn
Yeah.
on the way out. How can we get some more money and burn it?
So 2 companies that have clearly said they're having an impact on their sales, Facebook and Twitter. Both have come out and said ad revenue is going to be substantially down.
So you have 2 honest companies.
No, I mean, maybe.
We don't know how big. I mean,
Facebook's saying their revenue is down, but Nike's saying a physical good is still being purchased in China
Yeah, it
when
doesn't
the
make
country
sense.
was shut down.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we know Facebook's down because we're seeing CPMs, our cost to reach people, is
Yeah.
a lot cheaper.
If you're flush with cash, this is a great time to buy audience.
Yeah.
You may not get conversions on sales,
Yeah.
but you can buy audience.
Yeah, there's some accounts where we were seeing like $2 CPMs, which is absolutely unheard of on Facebook to reach 1,000 people for $2.
Yeah. Which that used to be like 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
That's great. So I'm sure some people will take advantage. Someone that will not be taking advantage is Neiman Marcus. They're considering bankruptcy. They were already riddled with debt coming into this. And like we said, this is going to be a great cop-out for a lot of people to go bankrupt, specifically retailers filled with debt. I mean, there's no reason at this point to think your business is going to survive if you're riddled with debt. So Neiman Marcus is looking to figure out how to keep the doors open, but literally they can't keep the doors open. So it's essentially their website. They also own 2 Bergdorf Goodman stores and 24 Last Call locations, and they own My Teresa in Germany.
This
So,
should be last call for the whole entire company.
yeah, this is the last
Just
call.
rename Neiman Marcus last call. It's over.
And
Give
just
up.
do it online. I mean, you know what? It's interesting. I was thinking about this. Ross and TJ Maxx, 2 people that thrived in the last recession. Thrived. They exploded in business because people traded down and were looking for value. They never developed an online business,
Idiots.
and now they have. Some of these people have 2,000-3,000 stores that are not open. That is nuts. I mean, you're talking about, and imagine getting that same foot traffic back come June, come July. You're not getting it back.
Not
But
even-
isn't that where people are shopping though? The discount stores? Aren't
They-
they getting the discount stuff even more because people are liquidating
No,
for
but
whatever?
we're saying people aren't even going to walk into your store.
Ever.
You can't even
Yeah,
go
right.
into the store. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Like
can't
right now, they literally can't walk in. I mean, I'm sure there are locations opened around the country, but that's going to be like a really tough proposition.
From a psychological standpoint, as scared as people are right now, when do people, let's say end of June, we've been told by the government, we flatten the curve, new cases aren't happening, and we've got this under control. When are people going to be like, let's go to the Grove, let's go to 3rd Street Promenade?
I think
And if they do, they're not going to get near each other. The people are still going to be scared.
right. young
Right.
people don't care.
Yeah.
No.
Agreed.
I already have friends telling me the second that this shit's over,
Pizza in the
everybody's
bars.
just going out. Like,
yeah. So I think
everybody.
young people go back to normal. They don't have the most discretionary income, so that's going to be a problem. I think you're going to see a lot less older people and families. You just are. It's just any risk prevents families from going anywhere.
Yeah.
That's really the challenge. So you lose a large population of the audience. But there's other people who just like, if it happens, it happens. We don't really care. There's a lot of people who think like that.
So when, if ever, do you think things get back to normal? Like, so let's say
What do you
everything goes well.
consider
Trump,
normal?
where we were 6 months ago. Let's say Trump's right. Everything's open by Easter. When are things at the levels they were 6 months ago, with restaurants being full?
January
malls being full?
2021.
Yeah, next year.
January 2021.
That's the earliest.
So it's like 8 months from when things open.
Yeah, I think even if things are open in 2 months, a month, it's
still
gonna
made
be
a lot
slow
of
crawl.
damage.
Yeah,
It's a lot of
You
damage.
have both economic and psychological damage. So you
The
people,
psychological damage is far worse than the actual economic
Yeah.
damage at this point. Think about how we're all acting now.
Yeah, like,
we're
who's-
running away from people on the street.
If we're told by the government in July everything's clear, who's going on that European vacation?
Who's going on the cruise?
Pete.
No, I don't even want to get on a cruise at this point. I'll fly somewhere, but I'm not going to get on a cruise.
Yeah,
So we'll see. I mean, I think it's going to take some time, but let's talk about a few people that felt like the world was falling apart and acted accordingly. Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos sold $3.4 billion in Amazon shares the first week of February.
this doesn't
He
really
knew.
bother me at all.
No, I don't care. I'm just saying he's smart.
Well, not only that, but here's one thing people got to understand when executives like Jeff Bezos, they have scheduled
Yeah, for sure.
times.
But his
that they
schedule
could-
really picked up in 2020. If you look at his schedule.
It also picked up pacing with his relationship with Lauren Sanchez because the
Yeah.
lifestyle got very
Yeah.
expensive.
I need $2 billion a month to keep up with the.
Yeah, I need the new house. I need the new boat.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting, but there's a lot of people, forget Jeff Bezos. There's a lot of other people that dumped a lot of stock in February.
And all the CEOs who stepped down, like Bob Iger and all those
Yeah,
people.
the CEOs, the number of CEOs that stepped down that were of global companies that knew the impact of Corona it's
I
so
wrote a
obvious
newsletter
in
about
hindsight.
that, like weeks before anyone
Yeah,
knew
you
about
did.
Corona, and I said, "This is sketchy. What's going on? Why are they all suddenly stepping down?"
Yeah, it's Bob Iger was the most like obvious one of them
Yeah.
all.
I mean, there's like MGM CEO, February 19th and 20th, sold a ton of shares.
Well, yeah, because he saw China's shut.
Yeah.
Macau's closed. Singapore's closed. What's gonna happen to Vegas?
So
Yeah.
did they get in trouble for insider trading, or is it just too hard to prove?
You can't prove it.
Yeah.
And then same thing with the senators and what they're doing. You just can't.
Those people
Senator,
will-
well, so the Senator Burr, the one who sold
Yeah.
the most, he's already getting sued by investors in those big companies.
He said
saying,
he
like-
saw it on CNBC and said, "Oh, this is interesting. It's happening in Asia. It could happen here."
yeah, no, it's-
He's a real genius.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. And, you know, we were talking a few days ago about Bill Ackman and how he gave this passionate speech on shut down, almost in tears. It's reported he's put $2.5 billion of cash to work on buying stocks in the last week. So his panic cry and being a vulture on top of it is in line with the fact that he sees a clear opportunity.
And there's
That's-
nothing like illegal about that, like manipulate or deceiving the public.
I mean, there are pump and dump laws, but how are you going to prove it?
Bill Ackman can't tank the whole economy. He's just like giving you his passionate speech out of one side of his mouth, and then he's like, "Fuck this! This is a steal. I'm gonna go buy the best companies in the world at discount."
Yep.
And he probably dumped everything in January, February too. This is why it gets me so upset when people tell me that coronavirus isn't about money. It may not be in front of your face about money, but this is all people are making money off this.
For sure.
Like
plenty
people
of people
suffering.
Yeah. We're in Robinhood every day suffering.
I mean, if you're looking for stock option trading tips, hit up Taylor. He'll probably go to jail for giving them to you.
Hey, I'm up for now, today.
For now.
All right. Well, that really is that wraps up our episode. We know we have As Seen on Social. Do people have anything they've saw on social?
Can I get a quick take on this? I just saw this on Instagram, and I think I've made a point about this. Do colleges need to reduce tuition with all this online schooling now?
So that's an interesting.
What's the question? Sorry.
So the majority of schools are now going online. Should they reduce tuition?
There was a Twitter thread about someone who went to NYU. I don't know if you guys saw that. And they were like, look, I'm paying $50,000 a year, and it's like a class that you have to do in person. And they're not able to do it in person. It was like a film, whatever class, like you have to do in person, camera or something. And they couldn't do it. And they're like, look, here's my email that NYU saying, can I get a refund? And they said, sorry, our policy is we don't refund.
Yeah, this could crater the higher education market completely. I think it's a great question, Pete. We've already sent all our college students home. If semesters typically don't end until May for semester and June for quarter universities.
This year's over.
What are the odds we let kids come back in August? Probably not high.
I think I'll tell you the
Or
challenge.
kids are going to realize, why am I in school?
So-
Look at
Yeah.
how much I was able to like be productive. I learned a new skill. I did this. Why am I going back to school?
I think there's such a small percentage that actually find that though, or discover
I think
that.
kids go back to school for the parties and the social.
It's
They
a
don't go back
social-
for, yeah.
Yeah, like I think you're losing the fact that like a chunk of people just are going for a good time.
Yeah.
College is fun.
college is
College is a
fun.
lot of
People
fun.
aren't going for you're going for fun.
No, but
Yeah.
if you can't afford it,
You're still going for fun.
Whatever,
taking out
you just
loans.
take the loan. It's all
take
gonna
the
get
loan default.
yeah,
Whatever.
Yeah.
years at this point.
Rinse and repeat.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I do think education will get corrected. I think things will become more efficient. I think costs will come down. Because, I think Alana said it on her podcast when she was here last week. She was saying how the tuition for her school is so expensive, and now you're doing it online. Am I getting what I'm paying for?
Paying for like one Skype or one Zoom a week.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like my son's preschool they're doing Zoom meetups or whatever. But like, eventually if he goes in the fall, if it's Zoom, we can't be charged the same tuition.
Yeah, of course.
Because their costs should be a lot lower. You don't need all that space then.
But they're still their leases. It's not like the cost drops. They're still paying their.
I mean, commercial real estate's going to be a huge problem. It's a catastrophe.
I have a scene on social.
Okay.
Noah Syndergaard, who's a pitcher for the New York Mets.
Yeah.
He's undergoing Tommy John surgery, which is surgery for your elbow, and he's apparently getting it on Thursday. It's an elective surgery in New York City, in the middle of like hospital bed shortages. Like,
Can you define what elective means?
it's not life threatening.
Okay.
You could choose
Like
when
he
and if you
he
want to
could
have
do it in a month.
Got it.
Right, he could do it in 3 weeks. He could go to another state where there aren't hospital shortages.
Yeah.
Just poor timing. I mean, I feel bad because you should get. I mean, here's the other thing as seen on social. I saw a thread that hospitals are about to hit a cash flow shortage because elective surgeries aren't being done. All elective procedures, which are the high ticket items, and everything's being held for corona like monitoring and beds that are just effectively managing fevers, which you don't get to charge for a surgery. So there's a huge cash flow crisis that hospitals are going to have, and they're going to lay off staff. And but good thing Mitch McConnell wants to cut that $100 billion to hospitals to $75 billion.
Yeah,
He's got to pay his homies.
and now, as seen as social, I have one. Larry Kudlow, economic advisor to Trump, is saying the stimulus package is not $2 trillion; it's $6 trillion.
Wow. He just said that?
$6 trillion.
Well, he also lied on Sunday that it's out of the house. And it's not even $6 trillion. You'll get people to stay home. Yeah. You want people to stay home?
Slide me $1 million. I'll sit my ass at home.
Exactly.
Bro, I will not even go to the grocery store.
I'll starve myself for $1 million.
I literally will starve.
You actually name what you want me to do. I'll do it.
I'll do
so
that.
we'll see if $6 trillion is the number that gets everyone excited.
That's wild. I got to see it on social too, which is it shows Trump over time talking about Corona, and it's like first it shows like January 20 something, and he's like, "This is a hoax from the Democrats," and like later in January, like it's still nothing. This little Corona thing people are talking about. In February, he's like, "It's going to be nothing. One day we'll wake up, we'll be fine." And then it's February, and then finally it shows day by day pretty much. Then he's a clip like a month later saying this virus came out of nowhere. No one saw it coming. No one knew where it came from.
He's like, I've been on this for a long time. He's like, this is very serious.
But I'm doing it. It's very, very serious. And I've been very serious about this for a long time.
Yeah, but here's the problem is that is not shown on Fox News. No, if you watch, I'll watch Fox News maybe once a week just to see what the lunatics
so Parker's
are saying.
right. You're a closet conservative.
But you also have to see other people's perspectives. Otherwise, you can't understand why they think like this, right? Like even CNN, I watch it and I'm like, this is nonsense too. And so you if you're in that, echo chamber, you don't hear, all you hear is the part that, Trump did know about it.
Yep.
He did solve it.
Yeah, he's saying, I took it very seriously. I shut the borders down. He didn't do that.
Yeah.
You know what really is pathetic about the Republican Party? Larry Kudlow comes out and says $6 trillion. This is the fiscally responsible party. $6 trillion? Where'd the math come from? $6 trillion, we could have solved healthcare and so many different issues 6 weeks ago if we knew this money was available.
Yeah.
Republicans don't give a fuck. What? So that's why, like, when people get mad that Democrats are finally standing up for like same-day voter registration, throw it in the bill.
Yeah. $6 trillion is bananas.
Who's this Larry did, and can we trust him?
Larry Kudlow was on CNBC.
He was
for
a
years,
CNBC commentator.
and now he's an economic advisor to Trump in the White House.
Oh, nice. So he's like if Jim Cramer was an economic advisor.
Yes,
100%.
It's exact same person.
Wow. And he's able to say this, and we think it's not fact?
I mean, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, Mark. He's just doing it to pump the market up. So Republicans are finally showing their true colors. We only care about the stock market and our rich friends and their companies to be okay.
Yep.
We don't care about the average person. That's all this money. If this money was available today, it was available 6 weeks ago to solve healthcare.
Yep. But now that the markets are going down, they need
it. Like, let's forget about pre-existing conditions and treating the sick. But God forbid the Dow goes down 15%.
Yeah, now it's time to take action.
Yeah, it's true. And if you guys want to hear some real stories, I started a series of podcasts on my personal podcast Detour called Tales from Hell. And my first one was with Bill Feldberg, a screen printer They're based out of Nashville, called Something Inked. And really just to talk about what their business is going through and how they're handling it and how, some of the pain they're feeling, but how they plan to come back from it. Then I also talked to Michael Katz, who's been on the pod, and he just did a huge $45 million fundraise. He's in the SaaS software business, and he was in 2008 in digital advertising. Incredible to hear how his business thrived in that environment and how he came out of it. And then I just interviewed Nihal Mehta from ENIAC Ventures, a VC seed fund in New York City. And he gives a very scary kind of conversations he's having with founders of like, you need to live in reality on what's actually happening here and how to handle it. So all those episodes are being released, so look out for them. I think it'll be helpful to people that are going through like a tough time to hear how people are dealing with it and how you actually come out of it. Because a lot of these people have gone through 2008 and they all came out pretty successful.
Yeah, for sure. Makes sense to hear those stories. And I was talking to Parker about how whenever we talk to you, we always thought you were such a pessimist because the past 4 or 5 years we've been in business, it's all up and up. And we're always telling D, it's great. And D's like, watch out, save money for a rainy day, be lean. Like this isn't going to happen forever. Don't hold inventory. And we're always just like, yeah, like, we get everything D's saying, but like, why is he such a pessimist?
Yeah.
And it's because you've been through 08 and we've never been through anything like this. So it's the first time a lot of entrepreneurs, at least my age, are going through any adversity on a macro level.
Yeah, that's what we said. Anyone who's 32 or younger has never experienced any downtime, which is crazy. 32,
I thought the market goes up every year.
Yeah.
And I thought houses only goes up.
Yeah. And it's not crazy to think if that's all you've experienced.
Well, until 2008 in the history of American real estate, there was never a actual national decline in real estate prices. That was the first time ever.
Wow.
There you go. There you have it, guys.
Buy low, sell high.
That's what they tell you, right? We'll see you guys all on Friday. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
It's all, folks.
Hopefully drama's recovered by then from his corona.
Let's quarantine him. Put a hazmat suit.